Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. There are plenty of classes to choose from in Ragnarok Mobile. In fact, when you first start the game, you have the choice between 18 classes. Now, when I first started, I was pretty confused about which class I should pick. My friend who got me into the game told me to choose a DPS class, so I picked Assassin because that sounded like it would be a DPS class. Then after playing for a bit, I didn't like it and it was garbage for PvE. So I switched to Hunter, which did better in PvE, although this is more of a farming class. Later on, people wouldn't even let me in their party since the solo Hunter DPS was so bad, so picking a good class is important. In this guide, I'll cover my thoughts on the best classes in 2024 for new players, free-to-play players, and pay-to-win players. Stay tuned for all the details. Also, fantastic news, I have codes to give away. I have 10C, 5 global, and 5 EU codes. In the comment section, say what class did you choose when you first started playing ROM and why. Include your Discord ID and which server you play on, such as C, global, or EU. Winners will get codes May 10th, 2024. First, if you're a new player, welcome to the wonderful world of Ragnarok Mobile. To succeed in this game, you'll need to find a guild. Look on Discord, Facebook, Reddit, and other places where guild listings are posted. Try to find ones that are newbie friendly and offer carries. I've been carried a ton by my guild Zenith throughout the years, and I wouldn't have progressed as quickly as I had without their help. There are certain classes like support classes that level slowly and can benefit from being accelerated by other characters. These are classes that lack AoE or range so they won't farm levels quickly, and this is where friends or guild members can really help you. For example, for this new character, I have a high level person helping out by killing monsters quickly. This is called leeching, and many people use this technique to power level new classes. You can see the EXP flying. So even if you choose support, don't be afraid, you can still get help to level you up. Now if you enjoy being support, then choose Acolyte and go down the priest line. It eventually becomes Saint. Saints are high in demand due to its amazing buffs and debuffs and ability to keep their party alive. This is an S tier class that will always be useful and has continued to be a staple in parties despite many other support classes being released. It is hard to replace a Saint, so this class is the safest bet. This class is great for PvE and PvP, and if you get the Shadow Wave Ruin early on, you can also farm pretty efficiently as well. You will need players to help you out in instances, so you cannot solo them yourself. Also, you need to learn the mechanics in the game, because if you die in an instance, your party may die as well. So watch guides on various instances, and I'll put some links to some instances in my description. Next is the class I most often recommend to new players, which is Dorum. This is one of the most newbie-friendly classes, and you must select this class when creating your character, otherwise you cannot choose it if you already chose the Novice Human. Visually, Dorum is cute, which some people don't like, but it's really strong in both PvE and PvP. Dorums are very tanky and also have lots of utilities, and also deal AoE damage. Its AoE damage makes it great for farming too. It has a variety of skills that can buff party members or debuff the enemy, which makes it have lots of utility. And physical Dorums are able to scale damage increase based on the HP due to Life Soul. Your primary DPS skills have damage increased by 36% of your remaining HP. As a result, it is a class that doesn't rely on pay-to-win gachas that other classes do. It is much easier to gain HP than attack and attack percentage deposits. This is a solid class that I've used for a long time, especially when I was free to play. To this day, I still use it for PvP since it's really tanky. Back when my daughter was 5 years old and interested in trying out ROM, we made a free-to-play Dorum for her. It was tanky so she wouldn't die all the time, and she could also revive us while dishing out some decent damage. Here's her account killing bosses solo, and is quite good for her deposit, which is about 15%. Next is an alternate class I recommend for new players if they don't choose Dorum. Most often, they don't like how Dorum looks. So if you want something a bit more human looking, then try Lightbringer. First choose Merchant, then go down the Blacksmith line until you become a Lightbringer. The class can farm well due to its passives that give more Zenny and higher drop rates. Late game, it is the best farmer in the game too. For early game PvE, this has one of the best free-to-play bursts in the game. This class can also be useful for PvP, although not as good as Dorum or Saint. Finally, if someone's able to carry you and level you up quickly through leeching, the best PvE class in the game for free-to-play players and new players is Wrathcracy. You get her by choosing Swordsman, then going down the Crusader line, and then going down to Divine Avenger to unlock her. Then you get a free job change voucher for beating Museum Brave or Legend, and you can get her job change voucher. Long term, she's the best class with lots of survivability and high AoE DPS. You need to get many runes to make her stronger, but she's very usable even without them. And now you have a goal for investing and rerolling your runes too. For all the classes mentioned so far, I do have guides on them, so I'll put a link in the description. Next, for free to play, which excludes all event classes and limited time classes, here are my recommendations. I know many people have played Ragnarok Mobile for years without spending a single dime. They are just patient and save up runes to invest in worthwhile classes. The best support class continues to be Saint. You'll get much tankier if you invest in gear from Time Wish Machine, so you'll definitely be much better. For DPS, Rathgrassi is undoubtedly the best overall. While I think Dorum and Lightbringer are great early game, if you want to do mid to late game content, you need a much stronger class. Rathgrassi is the safest and best investment for mid to end game. Many DPS classes will struggle with this type of content, so you'll feel frustrated when you feel like all your investment was in vain. But luckily, Rathgrassi is still effective in both PvP and PvE. I do have a guide where I use Rathgrassi with 15% deposit and it can solo DPS clear Legend Isles 4-1 with a Saint as support. This is really hard to do with other classes, let alone one with such low deposit. Now I used to recommend Novice Guardian, but it doesn't do well in Legend instances anymore due to the high wind damage reduction. Novice Guardians are stuck using wind, which kinda sucks. Rathgrassi is better since you can convert to other elements to take advantage of the elemental weaknesses. Novice Guardian is great since it has great damage scaling and is quite good at surviving, but unless you get these runes for free when you're rolling for it, I wouldn't re-roll for this and I would instead invest in Rathgrassi instead since it has more long-term benefit. The two runes that you would need are the Swift Storm Star Rune and the Ruthless Slash runes, both with the third line activated. I have a guide where I use Novice Guardian with 11% deposit and it does well in Brave instances, and many early and mid game instances as well. Once you go to Legend, you'll definitely see how bad this really is. Next is Pay to Win. Saint continues to be the best support even late game. Now you can tank a ton and rarely die in both PvE and PvP. My wife has the endgame Saint and she's super tanky and keeps me alive. Next, Rathgrassi continues to be even stronger. Now her quick attacking feathers start to tear away at targets. She's also really annoying in PvP too. This is the class that I got all her second line runes, so she's 7-7 core hero level. She is definitely worth the investment. She has high damage and high survivability and great AoE. You will not regret this investment. Next is Heinrich. He's one of the most popular burst classes now and can be used in every instance, although he is also rune heavy. He can also be used in PvP too. This is currently the class I'm trying to get 7-7 core hero level, although I'm stuck at 6. With his recent buffs, he's definitely much stronger and definitely an S tier character. If you want a DPS class with a bit more burst, then Heinrich is one of the best ones to use. Next are 3 event and limited time classes that you won't have access to unless they rerun the event, or if you happen to have these classes already, you should continue to invest in it. First is Thor. He has insanely high damage modifiers, and he feels very strong as he can solo many of the Legend instances himself. Even though he's stuck to win too, the damage scaling is so high that it doesn't matter, you can still shred through bosses. He's great for PvE and PvP as well. He has better survivability than Heinrich, but worse than Rathgrassi. Next is Genos. He's the only magic class that can do PvE well. He's also a beast in PvP. Of all the magic DPS classes used for PvE, this is the only magic class I seriously invest in. Next is Ronin, which I believe has the best DPS in the game for most people, especially whales. It's super busted and worth the investment. I've invested heavily in rerolling for runes, and it's one of the best damage scaling in the game since you can use attack, vit, and magic defense to heavily boost your damage. The only reason I stopped playing Rathgrassi was because of how busted Ronin was in terms of damage. Next, why no Saitama? I believe Heinrich replaced him. Saitama doesn't have good AoE, so it's really bad in certain instances. If you only care about boss hunting, then Saitama is one of the best out there. But if you want AoE, then don't look for him here. Next, why no Rune Master? For most people, unless you're min-maxing, you won't ever hit his true potential. Other classes are easier to gear up so you can maximize their damage, whereas RM requires a lot of work. It's definitely a labor of love that can lead to a lot of frustration. For me, despite my high deposit, my Rune Master doesn't even come close to my Ronin. It's not min-maxed and I don't have the plus 15 Heavens weapon either, but I feel like it's still a long road before it can out-DPS my Ronin, which some people are capable of with the right gear. Next, why no Jormungandr? While he's insane in PvP, he doesn't perform well in PvE. In general, physical DPS classes do much more damage than their magical counterparts and are easier to gear up. Well, that's my list. What are your thoughts on the recommended classes? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you'd like more tier lists or class recommendations, check out this playlist over here.